welcome to In the Spotlight. I'm Eric Townell. My guests today are Karen Bowersock. She's the Executive Artistic Director of Bristol Valley Theatre, and she's joined by David Shane, who's the Associate Artistic Director. Welcome here. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Glad you can come in today.
Thank you.
You have an exciting summer going on right now?
In the thick of it.
That's fantastic. And where do people find you right away so if they're watching the show, they can make their plans?
The theater is located in Naples, New York, right there on Main Street. Naples isn't very big, so we're sort of easy to find in the larger picture. And that's at the southern end of Canandaigua Lake, about an hour's drive from Rochester.
I see. A very picturesque setting.
Beautiful drive from Rochester.
Right in the
yes.
Finger Lakes. That's great. And what is the website in case they're searching on their phone and want to learn more as we speak?
www.bvtnaples.org.
bvtnaples.org.
Yes, as in Bristol Valley Theatre, BVT.
That's fantastic. So as executive and artistic director, you do the season planning and...
Well, it's something that we do together, actually. David's been a great help in that. He, although he's the associate artistic director, he has a history as an actor and as a director, and so his input is really valuable in terms of determining what the season's going to be.
Okay, and what is a typical season at Bristol Valley Theatre?
We do a combination of plays and musicals, 6 from June to September. That's the height of what we do, is that producing season. So each runs for 2 weeks, 10 performances over 2 weekends, it's a wide variety. The sky's the limit. You know, we try to give a little something for everybody each season. So one week we may be doing a mystery, the next week a musical, the next week a comedy. We try to put it together and keep changing it up for a great variety for our patrons.
10 performances over 2 weekends. That's a rigorous schedule.
Yeah, I guess so. It's more rigorous that we rehearse and put it together in 12 days. So we bring down the professional actors and directors and designers from New York City primarily, but also from around the country. And we have 12 days from the day they arrive to the day of the first performance. So, so that's the rather rigorous part of it from our point of view.
Creative team, are they for local or are they likely to be New York directors as well?
New York directors, designers from Boston market, from Cincinnati, we sort of have a relationship with directors and designers from around the country, but we also go to New York to do auditions for the actors every year, and I would say about 90% of our actors are cast out of New York City.
So it's a theater on a par that tourists might find in their home locale if they're coming to Naples to sample wine, for instance.
Absolutely. If you're on vacation in the Finger Lakes to spend some time on the lake, to, as you say, wine tasting, there are some great local restaurants in the area.
Okay.
And definitely this is hopefully a theatrical experience that is on par with what you might find in a major metropolitan area, but at a lower cost. And certainly accessible to people in the region, and an added bonus for people who are vacationing.
Right, it's equity theater. Really.
Well, we have equity guest artists, but we have a combination of equity and non-equity artists.
Oh, that's fantastic. And David, how long have you been with the company?
I've been working with Bristol Valley Theatre since 2006, first as an actor and then as a director, and I have been in this position full-time since 2013.
And is acting your background?
It's where I started, yeah, and I go back to it occasionally.
Right.
I used to do it all over the country all the time, and have sort of transitioned into other areas of the business now. But it's always fun to get back to it.
And were you trained locally then? Or?
I'm originally from Ohio, and I went to school in Ohio, and I then lived in Manhattan for about 10 years before moving here full-time.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's a wonderful place to be. And Karen, you're a playwright as well as a director.
I have done a little playwriting. I wouldn't. I know too many great playwrights to quantify myself as a playwright, but I have written a couple of pieces. Yeah.
And are you actively directing productions then?
Yeah, primarily that's what I do. I direct 1 or 2 productions in the season each year, and then occasionally I'll make a guest appearance as an actor. I've sort of avoided that for a long time. I was originally trained as an actor, and then while I was in New York City, began directing more and more, and that's sort of where my focus is.
That's terrific. So now, in a typical season, are they shows that you would want to see as a tourist, or is there an overall design that people buy a subscription for?
We do have a subscriber base, a very loyal subscriber base, people who've been coming to the theater for 40 years. But it also, more and more, we're seeing the individual ticket buyer, the person that's just passing through town or making a stop here for one of the other attractions in the area and comes to the theater. So it's a little of column A, a little of column B.
So is it an historic structure that you're in?
The building was built in 1900. It was originally a Methodist church, and then it was renovated almost 40 years ago now into a theater, and has been so ever since.
So are you in a historic theater building then?
The building was originally built in 1900, and was a Methodist church, and was abandoned as a Methodist church when two of the churches in town merged. And so when the theater needed a place to be, it had been up on outside of Naples on Seaman Road, the original theater that was founded by the Sherwoods. But that theater space was closed, and they were looking for a new space. So they went for 1 year to Canandaigua Academy, the old one, and volunteers renovated this Methodist church to make it into a performance space. So it's an old building with good bones, but it's been our performance space for about 40 years.
40 years.
I think,
Yeah, just about.
And how long has the company been in existence?
53?
Since 1964.
That's a distinguished history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We celebrated our 50th anniversary a few years ago. So.
My, oh my, oh my, oh my. And so it's interesting to me that people might come to Naples for different reasons and how you construct a season. And do you try to be topical with your subject matter, for instance, or?
Not particularly. We don't have a particular, we have done themed seasons in the past, but that's not something that we do as a regular thing. We actually sort of try to present a little something for everybody.
I see.
So that we're not all musicals, we're not all comedies, we're not all mysteries, so that we have a broader appeal, so that we have sort of a broad audience base and are always seeking to broaden it. So we want to have a little something for everybody that comes out.
So tell me about the mysteries.
Well, I guess the mystery, they can be all over the map. We can do an Agatha Christie mystery. This year, the sort of a mystery that we did, and we don't do a mystery every year, but this year we did a show called Murder Ballad, which was a musical mystery. So we can be sort of all over the map with that.
People do enjoy that.
Yeah. Yeah, they come out for the mysteries pretty well.
Now, is there an educational component to the program?
Absolutely, yeah. In the summertime, we have a intensive for 11 to 17-year-olds, which is our apprentice program. And that's really where the educational component of Bristol Valley Theatre began. That continues to this day, but it has expanded to include half-day camp, week-long half-day camps for younger children in the summers. And then in the fall and the spring, we do acting for kids classes for a variety of ages that meet on Saturdays in the fall and spring. So we serve a pretty broad community, actually, in terms of the educational department. We have people who come from Victor, who come from Wayland, Prattsburgh, and of course Naples itself, Canandaigua, all around the region that will partake in that educational programming.
And so it's really ages 8 to 17?
All the way down to 4.
To 4.
Yeah, 4 to 17, and depending on the time of year and the what's going on, there's something for different age groups, but we really serve a pretty broad age range.
So if, for instance, I have a cabin in Canandaigua for a week, can my son or daughter participate?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How do they find you for that?
You can find all that information on our website. Again, that's www.bvtnaples.org. There's a whole section about educational programming, and it gives you all of the dates and information for different age groups.
So when you have children's theater, no doubt there are a lot of volunteers involved in helping you run the program, or?
I will run the program in the fall and the spring.
I see.
Myself, and then in the summertime we have an education director who comes in to run all of the summer programming, as we're both very busy doing a number of other things in the summertime. We bring in a professional teaching artist who runs the apprentice program and the summer day camps as well.
Are there volunteer opportunities if someone wants to use their summer that way?
We have a lot of great volunteers who serve as ushers at the theater.
I see.
Especially, when we have a nice full house, it takes a lot of people to get everybody into their seats and out of their seats in a timely fashion.
Right.
So that's certainly a great opportunity. We also have some, in the educational department, we have some opportunities for older youth who have maybe graduated past a certain level, who will come back and volunteer in the summer to help the education director run the camps and teach the children.
That's really nice, a vertical education experience for them. Some personal development in there as well.
Yeah.
That's great. And how many seats are in the theater? How large is the house?
Just under 200 seats, so it's a very intimate space. There's not a bad seat in the house.
And where are you finding your new works? Are you looking 2 years down the road, or?
Well, funny you should mention, we started in 2015, we started what we call the New Works Initiative, the BBT New Works Initiative, where we are committing to producing a world premiere work by a playwright every season as part of the summer season. So one of our summer slots is taken up by a new work that we give a full production to, just like we would any other. We also, during the course of the summer, do a series of readings or workshops, or it's varied from season to season, of new works where the playwrights come from New York or from wherever they are. We use our company of actors and directors to staff those readings, and then we have feedback sessions with the audience so that we do a public reading of the play. The playwright is there to answer questions, to get feedback, and use it as a developmental sort of tool for them. And that can vary from doing a workshop production of something or just having a simple reading of it.
That's terrific, so that people can be part of the creative process.
And get to talk to a playwright from New York and see what that process is like.
It's a very
for them.
stimulating way to spend a few weeks or in the summer, for instance. That's just great. And so how far out do you have to plan to prepare a season of theater?
We start looking, we're always thinking. But we announce our season in mid-October each year. So right now, we're already thinking about, because by the time the season ends in end of August, beginning of September, that leaves us about 4 weeks to get it together. So we're already thinking and reading. But we only plan a year out.
A year out.
Yeah. And we'll announce in October, and then the following season.
And tell me about Dramapalooza.
Dramapalooza is one of the, it's our half-day summer day camps for the younger kids. We have two age groups, 4 to 8 and 8 to 12. And it's led by whoever the teaching artist is for the summer. And they come in for half a day and have everything from creative dramatics to a small presentation. Sometimes the other day I stopped into the Dramapalooza class and they were choreographing a baby bird dance that was inspired by the book Stella Luna, which is a book about a bat that has some relationship with a bird. So they showed me that the other day when I walked through the class, and it was so it can be it's a very creative thing for the kids. In fact, all of our children's programming it stimulates their creativity, but it also gives them an opportunity to develop skills life skills that any kid can use, whether or not they go on to be an actor or an artist or a technician or a mathematician or a school teacher. It gives them opportunity to develop poise, comfortableness in front of others, leadership skills, time management skills, being part of a team. I mean, it's incredible how you see these young people develop, particularly the ones that come back year after year and take the classes.
Oh, they do come back year after year.
Oh, sure.
One of the things I always think about when we're approaching theater education is maybe some of these folks will continue on into the theatrical field in the future, but more than training theater artists, we're training theater audiences. We're training theater appreciators and people who will be supporters of the theater in the future, and people who will want to consume it more and more as adults. And so I think that's part of what we do to advance the art form, is not just maybe raise some future theater artists, but raise some future theater goers.
That's very important. That's a very important factor. So how do you reach audiences outside of Naples? I should imagine that you're actively recruiting audiences from the region, really.
Absolutely, yeah. We have a fairly aggressive and evolving marketing campaign, which includes more and more a lot of social media presence. And also we work with a lot of other tourist-related businesses to attract people from outside of the region, and how to cross-market and help each other with attracting people from outside of the Finger Lakes, and once they're here, making sure that they know all of the things, all of the attractions and all of the great offerings that we have in our area. So some of that is achieved through social media marketing, some of it through regional magazines, and certainly having a strong presence on the website is helpful as people are searching things to do in the Finger Lakes. Making sure that you're a part of that list is is a lot of how we go about making sure that the name is out there and people know.
Well, I hope people find you. And one of the things that brings people to the Finger Lakes, especially this year, is the women's suffrage history. Are you involved in the celebrations?
We have dedicated our season to that celebration. In fact, it's one of the few themed seasons that we've done. We're calling it our Hear Me Roar season, Women's Voices from Suffragist to Dramatist. And we partnered with the Susan B. Anthony Museum and House and with the National Women's Rights Historical Park in Seneca Falls. And we're going to be taking some of our productions to those sites in addition to having them at our site. So all of the plays and musicals in our season this year are by female dramatists. And we also are using the summer to bring in female writer-performers to do one-woman shows during the course of the summer, which you've done a couple of those and have a couple more to come. And having historical presentations from historians from the region talking about different aspects of the original suffrage movement. So that's where that's our method of celebrating. There's a lot of talk in the country right now about gender parity for playwrights. There's not a lot. Surveys show that only between 17 and 24% of any given season nationwide of the plays are written by women. So we wanted to address that and thought what better year to do it than the centennial.
Absolutely.
So that's why we are giving these opportunities to women this year, to featuring women's voices, and all over the map. Again, variety for everyone. We have a mystery, we have two musicals, we have comedies, we have dramas. We had one play that had an all-male cast, but it was written by a woman. So it's not necessarily plays that have a particular point of view, but again, as each of our seasons have, we're allowing all points of view, just from all women's points of view, I suppose, at this point in time.
It's wonderful that theater can provide that neutral space where people can go in a like-minded audience and experience a pressing issue and feel it and learn about it in a safe space.
Excuse me. It's one of the things that we're, when we talk about programming for a variety of people and a broad audience base, and I think is being particularly addressed with our New Works initiative, is reaching out to a younger demographic as well. As audiences change, we start to address new, differing subject matters.
Right.
And so we certainly provide a variety of things that are very entertaining and fun, but also stimulating, and finding that balance is really interesting. And because no one person will respond to every play the same way as their friend, so making sure that we have that variety going on so that we're really able to address different topics, different moods, different genres, all of those sort of things is really exciting.
How do you find audiences have changed over the years? Are they more interactive while they're in your audiences, or are they sitting quietly and being politely watching?
Well, we have because we've been around for over 50 years, some of our patrons have been with us since the beginning, or at least since the very early years.
Right.
So we're talking about, they have certain expectations of what Bristol Valley Theatre has been for all of its life cycle, and we're trying to also invite this younger audience in that and more modern plays, new plays, more modern plays, which may be more attractive to a younger audience. So trying to create that balance is one of the big challenges, and I don't think we're alone in that. I think a lot of theaters face that same thing, that we're trying to get a younger audience through the door, to sort of create the audiences of the future. And in putting together the plays, we do a little for you and a little for them. And I think some people have expectations of seeing the same thing that they've seen at Bristol Valley Theatre year after year. But we also, at the same time, don't want to stagnate as artists. And we want to challenge, challenge is an unfortunate word. We want to stimulate our audience.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's a challenge. That's too confrontational. But I do think we want to offer them something new, something that they haven't seen before. Not just a new play, but an older play that hasn't been done for a long time, or an older play done in a new way, or so that we stimulate side of each demographic, each member of the audience, not just the longtime members, not just the new members.
So you mentioned taking a production to the Susan B. Anthony House here in Rochester and to the Seneca Falls National Women's Rights Historical Museum or Park. And is touring new for you this year, or is it something you've done in the past or look forward to?
No, our children's program used to take shows out on tour, but we generally are pretty busy staying put where we are. So this is a new additional programming for us this year.
Right. And what theater audiences do you hope to attract? I mean, more widely, it's difficult when you're in a small market sometimes to pay for the marketing that you require to get an audience from a larger Buffalo media market, for instance. It takes a lot of local support.
It does. It takes a lot of local support, not just in terms of the patrons coming in through the door, but also in terms of local businesses. Nearly every business in Naples supports the theater in one capacity or another. It really truly takes a village, as they say. And the village of Naples helps to create that. And I think that is partially due to the fact that those businesses also recognize the economic impact that the theater can have in the community. And again, this is not unique to our theater. All theaters and all arts organizations have a very strong economic impact on their local communities. Right. And so the businesses in Naples recognize that, and they support the theater. In return, the theater helps to stimulate the local economy. So there is a lot of local support that goes into making it happen. Sure. And then when we can all benefit then from hoping to reach out to a broader market to bring those folks into Naples and introduce them to what the town has to offer. And
Rochester is home to a collective of theaters called Theater Rocks. Are you part of that?
Yes, we are. We're a member theater of Theater Rocks. Have been since the inception, I believe.
Because it's not a zero-sum game. The more theater is, the more
absolutely.
Theater
right. Well, it's a vital networking tool. You know, we are helping to cross market, but we're also helping. I wrote a letter to the Theater Rocks board earlier in the week and said, "Hey, we're looking for these chairs for this set. Anybody got them?" Showed them a picture, and I heard back from 2 different theaters. We have the chairs to borrow from. So we're sharing our resources in more than one way. But also, you know, I've gotten to know a lot more of because we're sort of on the southern end of Canandaigua Lake. I'm not up in Rochester as often, but I've gotten to know a lot of the other theater artists in Rochester through Theater Rocks, and it's allowed us to reach out to those organizations and them to reach out to us.
Share strengths.
Yes, absolutely.
And now, is there an effort to coordinate repertoire as well? How do you fit into what's your niche in this market, for instance?
That's a great question. I think we sort of subconsciously try not to repeat each other, at least too soon. You know, if the Rochester market has seen something last year, we maybe don't want to do it this coming summer. Maybe in a few years, the market will be ready to see it again. Yes. But we try to sort of respect that boundary just to make sure that we're not repeating ourselves and giving the audience the same experience over and over again. We want to make sure that we're giving them something new that they haven't experienced yet. So that certainly plays into it. There's no sort of formal agreement about how that works, but it is something that I think most people who are programming seasons keep an eye out to each other and just be respectful of what they're giving their audience in case the audience may have just seen it somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you're a local actor, do you have an opportunity at Bristol Valley Theater? Do you hold auditions, for instance?
We do. We have 2 sets of auditions, one in New York. Both happen in March in preparation for the summer season, so we do them quite early on. But we also have local auditions at the theater, and we see a lot of, they get better and better attended each year. This year we had people from Massachusetts and
Virginia
driving up. I don't know how they found out about us, but also local folks. We work a lot with students from Nazareth College in internship or ensemble roles in the musicals. But we have, you know, we welcome. The thing that makes us a little different than some of the Rochester theaters is that because we do things very quickly, we have an 8-hour rehearsal day for 12 days straight. You know, so it's not something that you can sort of have a job at the Starbucks on the side with. You have to sort of commit in a very short spurt to what you're going to do, and that doesn't fit into a lot of people's schedules who have jobs in Rochester. But we have definitely worked with Rochester actors through and with student actors from the various colleges and around the country. So.
And when are those auditions held for the?
Usually around St. Patrick's Day, second or third week in March. It varies from season to season, but we post it on the Facebook page. We've posted on the Theater Rocks Facebook page, and we welcome all comers.
Yeah, there is that the audition hotline Facebook group that advertises these things. That's fantastic. And so it's interesting to me that music has changed so much over the time period. I mean, the recent Hamilton production used a lot of different kind of music than you would have found in musical theater years ago.
Yeah, and we're finding that more and more with newer musicals. And when I say newer, I don't mean necessarily new in this year, but within the past 10 years, the style of music has changed in musicals. And I think that's just reflective of the style of music that's changed in pop culture as well. Musical theater is reflecting that. And that's part of what attracts certain audience members to the theater, is the opportunity to experience a different type of music live. It certainly also demands something new of the actors too. The people that we see in auditions have to be more versatile than they used to be. A musical theater actor used to have a certain style of singing, and now they have to have 3 or 4 styles of singing in order to be competitive in the professional field. So that's also very interesting to see how that's changing the development of younger actors, that they have to be that versatile.
Precisely, yeah. And you know, theater is so interesting in terms of the issues that are happening. I mean, you can really address a lot of local history, but I was wondering if you do European works as well. Do you have those in your repertoire? Are you doing the Molières and that sort of thing?
We do contemporary work primarily, and by contemporary I mean since the 1930s, 40s forward. So that's a long stretch. It's a big, but so we don't do the classics, Shakespeare, the French farces, those kinds of things. And I guess if it had been many of them have been updated into a more modern version, but generally our audience prefers the more contemporary works. But we do, I mean, one of the plays in the Hear Me Roar season is by Yasmin Areza, who is a French playwright. So we don't limit ourselves to the American repertoire exclusively.
And are you workshopping those works now, the women's works? Are they open so if people were to, you know, vacationing in the area, they would be able to find these in the summertime? And how do they find those?
The auxiliary, the one-woman shows that we're doing, which is what our New Works initiative is about this year, we have 2 more remaining. They have single performances at our space and sometimes additional performances in the at our partner spaces, at the museum and at the park. And you can find that information on our Facebook page. There's a Hear Me Roar landing page. I mean, there's
our website.
Our website has a Hear Me Roar landing page that has all of those dates. Also, the partner sites may have information on their sites about
partner
them as
sites
well.
is interesting. So it's not all at Bristol Valley Theater.
All will be at Bristol Valley Theater, but also we're taking them out to the various partners that we're working with. We were at the Votilla, we had a presentation at one of the Votilla stops.
Sure.
And this weekend we're going to the park with one of the shows.
And are you commissioning these works? Is that local supported, or are you finding money to create a new work, or are you using new works that have been created elsewhere?
Most of the new work that we do is, we are not commissioning it, which is to say we aren't asking the writer to write the play, but we are soliciting a written play to do. In the case of the one-woman shows, it was sort of a mixture of that. We sort of reached out and said, we're looking to do this type of work. Are you interested in developing a show? And received back from some of those female writer performers that yes, they were, and we've sort of worked together in that way. But moving forward, the new work that we do tends to be playwright driven.
Yes.
It's a play that they have decided to write, and then we are the opportunity for them to develop that, and then down the line perhaps produce it.
Yeah, that investment is very important to a new work. Right. And looking down the road, sorry.
I was going to say, and we are interested in new works. If anyone is interested, if there are playwrights out there, we've done some local area playwrights, but also from anywhere, anytime. So if anyone is interested, they can visit our website and find information about how to submit their work and how we and the schedule on which we review work for the next new works.
That's terrific. Well, that's very generous of you. And what is that website again?
www.bvtnaples.org.
Well, it's been delightful to have you here in the spotlight with me today, Karen Bowersock.
Nice to meet you, Eric.
And David Shane.
Thank you.
And Karen is the Executive Artistic Director of Bristol Valley Theater, and David Shane is the Associate Artistic Director. In the Spotlight is a production of Penfield Television. It is supported by Nocon & Associates, a private wealth advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Advisors. We hope you enjoyed today's program. Please follow us on Facebook. You can direct tweet me at Eric Townell. And please like and share this page with your friends. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming in.
Great, thank you.